Just wanted to express something. If I were to start a church, okay, if I were to pioneer a church, if God was to use me to help me to organize a church, I'd rather use that word organize. I can't start a church. Jesus Christ started the church. But what I can do as a vessel for Jesus is to help find some of the church and organize a meeting. Okay, or organize establish an organization, with the church. Okay, anyway, if I were to start a church, I would start it. First of all, I would ask myself, is there a need for me to start a church? Is there a need for me to organize a church? In other words, am I going to teach something that's different from the churches around me? Or am I going to teach something different in that's different from the churches that's already in that region? And we have churches that's being started as if they're teaching something different when they actually are not teaching anything different. They sound just like the 4 or 5 churches that's on the same street. You see what I'm saying? We should be valuing more unity in the church. And that should drive us to be hesitant to start a new church, because we should be valuing more unity. And if we'll just value more unity, we'll try to find ourselves joining a church that already exists, that's already teaching what we're teaching. And let's just link up with the church that's already teaching what we're teaching. What's the purpose of me starting a new church when there's already 4 or 5 churches on the same street that's teaching the same thing? So since God values unity, let me just join that church instead of doing something that's kind of unity, which is starting a church, especially when it's not needed. How about this? If it is needed, when does it become needed? It becomes needed when a certain core doctrine is missing in a region. You see? Now, obviously, if the gospel of Jesus Christ, that doctrine, if that's missing, a church needs to be started. So we start churches in remote villages. We start churches in certain regions of the United States, in certain areas, because the gospel is missing. Obviously, we need to start a church. But there's other reasons to start a church, because other core doctrines are missing. Doctrines like the free will giving. A lot of churches are teaching a false message on tithing, saying that God commanded the church to tithe. That's a false message. Somebody needs to start a church that promotes free will giving. And then there are other core messages that need to be